Hi, and welcome back to Now TV Canada, where I'm sharing more of my Smallville movie until I feel the urge not to. So this is Time Not Mentioned. The chapter continued. We left off where they're talking, Martha and Jonathan, about what to tell Clark and how long ago he should have been told. And then Jonathan says, I'll deal with it when I get back, I promise, kind of stuff. And so we're going to take it from there, where Jonathan says, Yes, yes, fine, Martha, agreed. Now I have to get back to what I'm doing if I'm going to get out of here while the sun is still up. Martha walked over to him and made him stop, long enough to give her husband a loving, supporting hug and whisper to him. She said, Good luck. I hope this ship proves eventful and that the results and closure you're clearly still needing and looking for happens for you this time. Keep in touch with me by phone on how everything is going. Jonathan smiles lovingly and gratefully to his wife for her kindness, understanding, patience, and support with him, and this lifelong battle she's had to endure him living through and withstanding by his side. That he's so grateful she came into his life. He knew God was wisest of all for knowing which single woman in the world would be able to manage a life and cope with a man so full of issues and not question his love or loyalty to her. Oh, the character's starting to sound familiar to someone in real life, but we won't go there. We don't have time to get into that. You're my queen, Martha, Jonathan says. Always remember that. You are the best thing to ever come into my life, leaving that earlier part in time of my life behind. You and Clark both. I would be nothing without you. Can't imagine what would have happened to with my life. I will make it up to both of you when I return. He hugged her dearly and kissed her deeply, and then let her go and returned to packing the stuff he had covered the bed with. Martha turned and left the room and returned to the kitchen and the work she was doing there before the storm in her husband took place. She also knew what kind of perfect care package to make for him to send him on his way with. Something he'll appreciate on the plane and after he's landed and settled in for his trip. She did agree that it has been far too long since he's been and realized maybe, just maybe, he was right, that the story on the news that was aired today was indeed all about reminding him of this and getting him there to appeal to his first childhood love for her understanding, forgiveness, and love, and whatever message she may have for him. I promise, as it turned out, were to be the last words Jonathan ever spoke about this matter of Jesse and his family and life in England growing up as a boy. For that fateful turn of events that brought Jonathan's life to an end, to meet his Jesse at the grave, took place a time after he returned from this one last trip home to see his Jesse. So he never did get to keep his promise, and it turned out that still small voice of a very young girl past was smarter than him after all. For his time of hating cancer and watching children battle it, and his own effort in battling it, he didn't fare so well in either. So needing to see her before his time, she knew, of course, from her place, was a dire and vital thing that must take place, so he too would be able to rest in peace in the same place she was, in that he would shortly be joining her in. So the dreadful truth, oh, I get goosebumps. I got creeps just from it. Jonathan Kent's life was going to come to an end. He was going to die. Something was going to happen. And the news that was aired, the story that was aired was her love, essentially, sending a message to his brain to come quickly, so that there would be more closure, that his life ending would be better to have seen her and visited her grave one last time than if he had to died and realized on his deathbed that he hadn't. Oh, oof, the ghost is smart. So she was still loving him, but she was also trying to be firm about that his life was going to come to an end because he didn't do his share. He didn't keep his promise, and he didn't fight harder to help those with cancer fight harder. So his battle with cancer and children with cancer and his Jesse's cancer lost within himself, and that took a toll. Um, where the judgment was that his life would come to an end. So maybe Jesse might be the reason his life was coming to an end. But before coming to an end, he still needed closure, so he still needed to take the trip to see her. So, kind of weird, how that judgment befalls a person and what they do right in life to decide whether it's short, medium, or long, or sometimes it's just because you come from a healthy family of longevity, right? In this particular case, it had nothing to do with the family history of longevity. It had to do with what he did within his own life. If you stress yourself out, lie, deceit, cheat, right, you're going to give your heart problems, right? It's going to go where all the emotions are, and it's going to cause problems. I take a mild dose of heart pills because everything in my life is around my heart. It's all about love. And because of the way I've been treated and how little I've had, and yet how hard I fight to have love still and still give love, causes a lot of pain and turmoil. I physically hurt in the heart from the love I'm needing and from the love I'm giving out without getting back because it hurts. So it kind of all makes sense with the show and the way it went and the stuff I'm missing that I can pre-guess on and the stuff I did know that I got right in this one. So the last paragraph for this segment is, and so Martha would be all that remains with the details and stories and information she knew to one day share with Clark, which turned out to take place by way of his own digging and curiosity and need for closure in his loss of Jonathan. His own way caused him to happen upon all the material that left him full of questions that needed answering about a man and life of his about him to which he did not know. Again, I would say this would have some sort of indirect impact from that young Jesse from all those years ago in Jonathan's life, making it be the same need and issue within Clark. Closure, answers, questions to a man whose life he apparently didn't know anything about at all. And Jesse just thought he deserves to know the truth. Should have always been told the truth. And so that young girl's heart and her soul and her integrity was in place. And if Jonathan had to be removed from the picture to give Clark the clear answer, then that's the fate. So good. It's almost like the ghost wrote it herself. Which brings us back to the present day, where Martha is doing the best she can and coping with and managing Clark and all his questions. So we're going to end there. So it's very exciting. It's getting somewhere. Now, obviously, the ghost of the Jessie in the story doesn't exist. She's not real. But the real Jessie that passed away from childhood cancer was probably very similar, a lot alike, in order for me to be compelled to having the ability to write such wonderful details to make it so true, so accurate, so good. So when Tom Welling reads this movie, it's going to be like going to psychotherapists. It's going to be like reading a psychology book or seeing a psychiatrist and seeking help and dealing with what it's like to grow up in an environment that's not like the environment you saw. That there's a double whammy there, and there's no way of dealing with it in person. And so reading this work will be him having to find the steps to deal with it through the character. Oh, I'm so excited about it. Indeed. So good. And so all of you will be too. So that's it. I'm Superwoman, and I'm the writer of the Smallville movie, and this is me signing out from Canada Now TV. Bye bye.